Across mist-covered mountain slopes, the grizzly bear moves with the confidence of a true ruler. It does not need to remain hidden for long. Every movement carries unmistakable pressure. Even the most determined rivals remain cautious in the face of its decisive response. What gives the grizzly bear the strength to command some of the harshest landscapes in the wild? The North American grizzly bear is an opportunistic omnivore, yet it remains a formidable predator when the opportunity arises. When facing deer species such as white-tailed deer and mule deer, it does not rely on the long-distance pursuits used by wolves. Instead, its advantage comes from explosive power, a keen sense of smell, and an exceptional ability to read the terrain. From late spring through early summer, the deer fawning season provides an important source of protein. Young fawns often lie motionless in the grass, relying on their spotted coats and stillness to avoid detection. Even so, that strategy is often challenged by the grizzly's remarkably sensitive sense of smell. As it follows a scent, the grizzly moves slowly along forest edges, through low shrubs, and across damp grass. It uses the wind, natural cover, and the landscape to close the distance without drawing attention. When the right opportunity appears, one decisive rush allows it to bring the pursuit to a swift conclusion. A healthy adult deer presents a far greater challenge. It can sprint at nearly 40 miles per hour, fast enough to stay beyond the bear's reach across open ground. For that reason, grizzlies usually focus on young, older, or otherwise disadvantaged individuals, especially when deep snow slows movement. This careful selection of targets is one of the grizzly's greatest survival strengths. In some deer populations, fewer than 40% of fawns survive their first year. As a result, grizzly bears help regulate herbivore populations and support the ecological balance of North America's temperate forests. Across the valleys of North America, a grizzly bear's authority is defined not by territorial boundaries, but by its ability to hold a position. When the salmon run begins, shallow rivers become rich feeding grounds, drawing multiple bears into the same narrow corridor. There, an adult male holds the advantage through size, experience, and remarkable composure. At the water's edge, two male grizzlies move toward the same fishing spot. The larger bear does more than display its presence. It suddenly makes a short charge to claim the better position. Lowering its head, raising its shoulders, and lunging forward, it uses its body to pressure the other bear into stepping back. The tension reaches its peak when the distance between them narrows to only a few feet. In the end, however, careful energy management proves stronger than the instinct to confront. The pressured bear leaves the riverbank, giving up the prized location to conserve its strength. And avoid extending the encounter. Deep within the vast taiga, a mother grizzly leads cubs weighing less than 50 pounds as they face the approach of a solitary adult male. Although much smaller, she rises to stand between the newcomer and her cubs, gives a deep warning roar, and holds her ground with unwavering confidence. Faced with that determined line of defense, the male turns away, allowing the family to continue through the season. In the wild, survival does not always belong to the strongest. It belongs to the one that knows when to move forward, when to stand firm, and when to retreat at exactly the right moment. After months of waiting, the return of the salmon awakens the rhythm of survival for North America's grizzly bears. As thousands of tails churn the rushing streams, the once peaceful mountain forests become charged with anticipation. Adult male grizzlies gather at the waterfalls, choosing the highest, narrowest, and most strategic positions to maintain their advantage. For salmon, a waterfall is one of the greatest obstacles on the journey back to their spawning grounds. They leap repeatedly through the fast-moving current while the grizzly waits along the rocky edge, watching every movement. Rather than giving chase, the bear simply reads the direction of each leap, tilts its head at the perfect moment, and reaches out as the fish comes within range. During the peak feeding season, an adult grizzly can consume about 90 pounds of food each day. Every salmon helps the bear build the fat reserves needed for winter hibernation, while countless others continue beyond the falls, carrying on nature's cycle of reproduction. In the wild, a shared habitat rarely leaves room for two dominant predators. Grizzly bears and gray wolves often cross paths while competing for space, food, and the pressures of winter. In the mountains and forests of North America, a large food source quickly becomes the center of a tense standoff. A grizzly bear weighing around 600 pounds stands guard over its hard-earned meal. From the edge of the forest, a wolf pack of nearly 10 members catches the scent of an opportunity. Rather than confronting the bear directly, the wolves circle from the outside to draw it away from the food. As the grizzly's attention shifts, several pack members quietly move toward the remaining meal. The moment an opening appears, the wolves quickly take advantage of the opportunity. Despite its caution, the grizzly eventually loses patience with the pack's persistence. It pursues the decoy, leaving an opening for the wolves to move in. For a brief moment, the wolf's agility outweighs the bear's sheer strength, forcing it to share part of the meal. The balance shifts when the wolves become the protectors. Near a den where young pups are being raised, the pack no longer waits quietly for an opportunity. When a grizzly enters this sensitive area, the wolves respond together in a coordinated formation. The pack pressures the intruder to protect the next generation while avoiding unnecessary risks. Faced with the wolves' united response, the grizzly returns to the forest rather than extend the encounter. In the end, the confrontation shows that strength secures a position, while strategy creates opportunities for survival. Moose, scientifically known as alces, are the largest members of the deer family, living alone across the taiga, Alaska, Canada, and the wetlands of North America. Large bulls can weigh more than 1,500 pounds and stand over 6.5 feet tall at the shoulder, resembling living fortresses among deep snow and quiet waterways. For that reason, a moose is never a passive target, but a formidable opponent that demands careful planning from any predator. The grizzly bear is an opportunistic omnivore, powerful yet cautious when facing a healthy adult moose. If the moose remains alert, the bear avoids charging directly into its strongest defensive position. Instead, it studies scent, tracks, wind direction, and movement patterns while waiting patiently for the right opening. The balance begins to shift when a moose steps into muddy ground or a shallow stream to feed. Soft footing slows its long legs, making quick turns more difficult than on solid ground. At that moment, the grizzly lowers its body, closes the distance, and applies steady pressure with a decisive approach. The tension rises as a cow moose leads her calf through shallow water and dense reeds. The grizzly follows closely, watching every turn the mother makes to shield her young. Although a moose can reach nearly 35 miles per hour over short distances, a single delayed step can create a critical opening. The moment the calf drifts beyond its mother's protective position, the grizzly quickly turns that brief mistake into a decisive advantage. Like the moose, the elk is one of the most recognizable members of the deer family, thriving throughout North America's open woodlands. Its impressive antlers can span nearly 5 feet, serving as both a symbol of dominance and a powerful form of defense. For that reason, an elk is never an easy target for a grizzly bear. Once the pursuit begins, the elk holds the advantage through speed, quick reflexes, and rapid changes of direction. But if it is forced toward swift streams, slippery banks, or terrain with limited footing, that advantage can disappear quickly. With claws measuring about 4 inches long and exceptional mobility across rugged ground, the grizzly turns the landscape into part of its hunting strategy. If successful, the reward is a tremendous source of energy, enough to help the bear endure many demanding days. The herd of prey suddenly hesitates as an invisible pressure moves across the grasslands. The lion approaches its target through silence before erupting into motion. Every step forward is measured through distance, escape direction, and vulnerability. If another predator moves too close, the lion quickly establishes its boundary. When the ruler of the grasslands makes its move, who can still hold their ground? Across the African grasslands, wild dogs stand out more for pack discipline than for size. Each individual weighs around 80 pounds, yet the pack moves with the coordination of a single unit. Through high-pitched chirps, short whistles, and relentless endurance, they maintain a precise rhythm during the hunt. A hunt-in success rate close to 80% places wild dogs among the most efficient predators in Africa. To lions, wild dogs are direct competitors. They depend on the same territory, the same food sources, and sometimes even the same travel routes. When one pack established a den for its pups after leaving an older area filled with signs of danger, the new ground unexpectedly fell along the patrol path of a male lion. The moment unusual movement is detected, the lion lowers itself behind the grass. Then comes a sudden burst of speed, short, powerful, and unexpected. Reaching nearly 50 miles per hour, the pressure of the charge forces the wild dogs to scatter instantly. The adults try to draw attention away, but several pups cannot keep up, still too small to withstand that kind of threat. Afterward, wild dogs often move their den far from the scent of lions, choosing thicker cover and constantly changing their routes. Whenever they make a successful hunt, they eat quickly, keep their ears turned toward the wind, and leave at least one pack member watching the outer edge. Across the grasslands, lions dominate not only through strength, but also through the constant caution they inspire in every other predator. Across the East African grasslands, the black and white stripes of zebras blend together like moving camouflage. They are not only familiar prey of the savanna, but also resilient, powerful, and constantly alert survivors. With bodies weighing more than 700 pounds, wide vision, and spring-loaded legs, zebras make every lion hunt an unpredictable challenge. To approach this target, a lion cannot rely on strength alone. It lowers its body behind the dry grass, moves against the wind, and waits for the moment when the zebra herd loosens its formation. When the distance closes to nearly 100 feet, every step must be precise. Even the smallest sound can send the entire herd rushing away. Then the grassland erupts in red dust. The lion bursts forward in a short sprint, cutting off the escape line of a slower individual. The zebra instantly changes direction, accelerates to nearly 40 miles per hour, and tries to use its springing power and rear kick to keep distance. But this time, the lion has chosen the right angle of approach. It pushes the target away from the main flow, causing the zebra to lose rhythm in the decisive moment. As the dust settles, the hunt ends as a reward for patience. With a hunting success rate often below 30%, each lion victory comes not only from strength, but from timing, strategy, and the ability to seize the prey's smallest mistake. Cheetahs are the fastest cats on land. With their light, slender bodies, they can burst to nearly 70 miles per hour over short distances. When hunting, cheetahs can close in on fast-moving impalas within only a few seconds. But that speed always comes with limits. After each chase, their bodies heat up quickly, their endurance drops sharply, and they must rest to recover. That brief moment of lowered alertness makes cheetahs more vulnerable. A lion does not need to outrun a cheetah over a long distance. It only needs to ambush from close enough range, choose the right wind direction, and launch a sudden pounce. When the safe distance disappears, even the fastest cat can be overpowered. For cheetahs, retreating at the right time is sometimes the wisest choice. Alertness does not only help them hunt, it also gives them another chance to survive. Every year, more than 1.5 million wildebeest move in a vast cycle across the Serengeti Mara ecosystem, following the rains in search of fresh grass and water. It is one of the most famous migrations in the natural world. They are not aggressive animals, but when danger draws near, the entire herd can surge to nearly 50 miles per hour, changing direction together like a living current across the grasslands. Near a river, the herd advances through clouds of dust and the pounding rhythm of hooves. From the edge of the tall grass, a lion stays low, studying the herd's movement and waiting for the outer line to loosen. As sudden pressure builds, confusion spreads quickly. Weaker or slower individuals are pushed away from the main flow, where the protection of the herd is no longer complete. In a quieter patch of grassland, one separated wildebeest lowers its head to graze, though it constantly lifts its gaze to stay alert. The lion does not rush. It lowers its body beneath the golden grass and silently closes the distance bit by bit. When the gap becomes short enough, the approach comes with sudden precision. The wildebeest reacts instantly, twisting sharply in search of open space, but on exposed ground, even a brief delay can become dangerous. Even so, Not every charge by a lion ends successfully. Sometimes the predator chooses the wrong angle of approach. Other times, the wildebeest suddenly turns back and resists with surprising force. Each failed attempt leaves the lion with more experience for the next hunt. It is a reminder that survival is often decided in only a few fleeting moments. Along Africa's rivers, lions and crocodiles meet at the boundary between land and water. Lions dominate the grasslands through muscle, speed, and the strength of the pride. But beneath the murky surface, the Nile crocodile is a master of ambush. At more than 16 feet long, with an estimated bite force of about 3,700 pounds per square inch, it is enough to make any animal approach the river's edge with caution, even an African elephant. When a lion is forced to swim across a river in search of food, the smallest vibrations beneath the calm brown water can awaken the crocodile's hunting instinct. It glides closer, almost unseen, then suddenly surges forward in a powerful warning rush. In that critical survival moment, the lion reacts with incredible speed, twisting away from the sudden approach and swimming hard toward the bank. Even while searching for food near water, a lion can still lose its advantage. Mud can slow its steps. The distance can close too quickly, and the crocodile only needs one favorable moment to create pressure. Even so, it is very rare for a healthy adult lion to be completely overpowered by a crocodile. The situation changes when the crocodile comes ashore to warm itself in the sun. As a cold-blooded reptile, it needs external heat to regulate its body. On dry land, its heavy body makes it slower. When lions gather to defend their territory, the crocodile usually resists briefly before finding its way back to the water. At the riverbank, power is always shifting. The animal that understands the terrain is the one that keeps its chance to survive. Spotted hyenas are often called the opportunistic predators of the grasslands. But in reality, they are far more formidable than that nickname suggests. They have powerful jaws, strong endurance, a highly efficient digestive system, and a ranked social structure within the clan. That is why hyenas have become the long-standing rivals of lions. Between the two species, encounters are rarely a fair one-on-one contest. When a lion closes in, it drives more than 400 pounds of body weight into a powerful charge. Dust rises like a golden curtain, hiding the critical moment. Even a few seconds of losing position can be enough for a hyena to be overwhelmed, especially when it is alone or separated from the clan. That conflict never truly ends. Lions sometimes pressure less alert individuals to reduce competition around their territory. Hyenas, even when pushed back, do not leave the struggle behind. They continue circling nearby, patiently waiting for an opportunity with remarkable endurance. When lionesses make a successful hunt, the hyena clan quietly follows, then moves in from multiple directions to compete for food. If the lions are few in number, the advantage may shift toward the hyenas. But when a male lion appears, its roar and overwhelming strength often force the entire clan to retreat. Wolves relentlessly pressure their target with wave after wave of pursuit. The pack moves like a coordinated storm, rapidly closing the distance. Sudden changes in direction gradually erase every chance of escape. Even other predators remain cautious when the wolves begin to accelerate. And as the chase reaches its peak, which side will finally give in first? Wolves are among the most highly organized predators in the Northern Hemisphere, ranging from taiga forests and rocky mountains to frozen grasslands. With adult weights reaching around 100 pounds, they track scent, footprints, and shifting wind patterns through remarkably sharp instincts. Through precise coordination and strong pack discipline, wolves do more than create pressure. They keep entire ecosystems active, alert, and constantly adapting. Because of this, wolves remain a vital link in preserving the balance and movement of the wild. In the wild, dominance is measured not only by strength, but also by scent, tracks, and territorial boundaries. The grizzly bear is an opponent that very few predators are willing to challenge directly. An adult can weigh hundreds of pounds, run close to 40 miles per hour, and carry claws nearly 2 inches long that serve as powerful natural defense tools. Because of this, gray wolves rarely rush into direct confrontation with a grizzly bear. When winter drives temperatures lower, every unit of energy becomes increasingly valuable. Wolf packs often rely on harassment tactics, spreading out from multiple directions, moving in close, then quickly retreating to force the bear to constantly reposition itself. Encounters like these rarely produce a clear winner. They resemble a cold and calculated contest, where the bear depends on strength while the wolves apply patience, coordination, and sustained pressure. In Yellowstone, a smaller but equally agile rival of the wolf is the coyote. When a coyote enters wolf territory or approaches a food source, the pack immediately closes the distance and controls its movement. In the wild, maintaining control over living space can be just as important as the hunt itself. If caribou symbolize migration, then bison represent the enduring giants of the North American plains. They are the largest land mammals on the continent, with adult males weighing more than 1,000 pounds and carrying massive muscle structure, along with curved horns reaching nearly 2 feet in length. For wolves, bison are not easy targets, but a relentless test between pack strategy and raw power. During the Yellowstone winter, the howl of the lead wolf echoes across the frozen landscape, signaling the beginning of another search for food. More than 20 wolves move in formation under the guidance of experienced pack leaders. As deep snow makes grass increasingly difficult to reach, the bison spend longer periods feeding and gradually become less alert. That is when the wolves begin selecting older and weaker adults as potential targets. No reckless charge takes place. The wolves spread out, maintain distance, and constantly shift direction to test the reactions of their target. The bison immediately turn to face the threat, lowering their heads and using bodies weighing over 1,000 pounds like living barriers. One sudden movement from horns nearly 12 inches long can force a predator backward in an instant. But as exhaustion slowly drains the target's strength, the wolves begin relying on coordinated pressure and precise timing. Even an attempted rescue from another bison unintentionally disrupts the herd's formation, creating the critical moment the wolves had been waiting for. Another encounter becomes even more intense when a young bison falls behind while crossing a river. Behind it, the wolves surge through the water with remarkable swimming ability, applying steady pressure as the young animal struggles to keep pace with the herd. But the bond between mother and calf on the plains is not easily broken. The mother quickly turns back, placing herself between the young bison and the pursuing predators. The mother's powerful defensive response forces the wolves to retreat. And this time, the pack's hunting strategy gives way to the mother's successful defense. Wolves may fail in a single encounter, but they rarely abandon an entire hunting season. Because in nature, victory does not always belong to the strongest, but to the species that knows when to wait for the right moment. Ungulates have always held a vital place in the gray wolf's diet. In Yellowstone, elk remain one of the wolves' most important food sources, accounting for many of their successful hunts. But elk are far from defenseless. Standing nearly 5 feet tall at the shoulder and carrying antlers that can spread close to 4 feet wide, they are powerful enough to make even grizzly bears cautious during tense encounters. Yellowstone becomes a winter refuge for elk, where snow blankets the valleys and every movement drains valuable energy. As the herd pushes across deep snow, the wolves do not charge directly into the center formation. Instead, they burst forward in short accelerations reaching nearly 35 miles per hour, then quickly change angles to identify the weakest rhythm within the herd. The objective is never the entire group, but a single animal that falls slightly behind amid the chaos of movement. One wolf applies pressure from the flank, while another maintains pursuit from behind, forcing the elk to change direction across the heavy snow. Just one moment of lost balance can shift the outcome completely. The pursuit ends quickly, much like the unforgiving rhythm of winter itself. But nature sometimes creates opportunity in unexpected ways. A lone elk, closely followed by wolves, accidentally moves near a bison grazing ground. Driven by strong territorial instincts, the bison suddenly surge forward, leaving the elk vulnerable for a brief moment. The wolves immediately recognize the advantage. A rare source of energy like this can help sustain the pack through many difficult days of unsuccessful hunting. The intelligence of wolves lies in their ability to read the environment and adapt their strategy with precision. Watching a disciplined wolf pack in motion feels like witnessing one of nature's most perfectly coordinated systems at work. In North America, caribou are a symbol of endurance and long-distance migration. They often travel more than 1,000 miles each year, crossing deep snow, powerful winds, and vast open terrain with almost no shelter. An adult can weigh around 400 pounds, with wide hooves built for soft snow, thick fur for insulation, and massive antlers that stand out across the frozen wilderness. That migration route frequently brings caribou into wolf territory, especially during winter, when energy becomes increasingly valuable. Wolf packs do not rely on strength alone. They observe quietly, keep their distance, and study the movement of the herd with patience. Their gray-white coats blend into the snow, allowing them to close the gap before applying pressure to the herd. As the terrain shifts into rough snow ridges, confusion begins to spread. The caribou repeatedly change direction, while the herd formation stretches apart in the freezing wind. The wolves quickly accelerate, creating invisible pressure that separates the group. With careful timing, the hunters force an isolated target farther behind before moving in with precise control. The pursuit finally comes to an end across the endless white landscape. But when summer arrives, the grasslands reveal a different confrontation. As the snow disappears and the terrain opens up, caribou often gather in massive herds across open fields. Wolves rarely ignore this opportunity, especially when a younger animal drifts away from the group. For a lone wolf, pursuing a full-grown caribou demands enormous energy and endurance. Through persistence and remarkable stamina, the wolves gradually gain the advantage. It is another lesson of survival repeatedly written across the wild. Beneath the Arctic sky, Where temperatures can fall close to -40 degrees Fahrenheit, the survival of wolf pups depends on the discipline and endurance of the adults. To feed the young before the harsh winter fully arrives, the pack must patrol territories spanning more than 400 square miles, sometimes traveling nearly 30 miles in a single day while searching for food. Across the endless white snowfields, one of their rivals is the Arctic hare, a species capable of reaching speeds near 37 miles per hour. As the hare constantly changes direction through sharp, zigzag movements, the wolves do not chase blindly. Instead, they spread out their formation, cut off escape angles, and attempt to guide the target toward deeper snow where movement becomes more difficult. The first pursuit may fail, but for wolves, failure is never the end. Every slip, every lost track becomes information for the next attempt. In a place where winter leaves almost no room for mistakes, true strength does not come from a single burst of speed, but from the ability to learn quickly, coordinate precisely, and persist until the final moment. The attack strategy of the orcapod instantly changes the rhythm of the ocean. The target is not simply chased, but carefully redirected through a series of precise movements. Even other predators can lose their advantage when facing a pod of orcas. With coordinated attacks and remarkable intelligence, the orca turns strategy into its most powerful weapon. So who can truly escape once the entire ocean becomes a closing trap? Gray whales are often called the long-distance travelers of the ocean. Each year, they can migrate more than 10,000 miles between warmer breeding grounds and nutrient-rich feeding areas in the north. An adult can reach about 49 feet in length and weigh more than 80,000 pounds, carrying remarkable endurance for a journey across the sea. But for orcas, that migration route is not just a random flow of movement. It is a path that can be remembered across many seasons. They do not rush into action. Instead, they watch from a distance, keep their spacing, and wait until the mother and calf move into open water, where waves, currents, and fatigue begin to slow their rhythm. Off the North Pacific, especially along near-shore routes by California, the encounter often becomes a prolonged test of strategy. Orcas take turns applying pressure from different directions, cutting off the path ahead and forcing the mother and calf to change course again and again. The goal is not a reckless confrontation, but to separate the calf from the mother's protection. With experience gathered across thousands of miles of ocean, the mother whale responds with persistence. She keeps the calf close, adjusts her swimming angle, and moves toward shallower water. If she can hold that formation long enough, both may pass through the dangerous stretch of sea. In the ocean, size creates an advantage, but endurance is what keeps hope alive. In Antarctica, the Weddell seal stands as a masterpiece of adaptation. Beneath a thick, insulating layer of blubber, these seals often dive more than 1,000 feet into dark waters in search of food. After long and exhausting dives, they return to floating ice sheets, slow their breathing, and rest quietly in what seems like a safe moment of stillness. But in Antarctica, silence is never a guarantee. From beneath the icy water, black and white shadows rise almost without disturbing the surface. The orcas do not rush forward. They observe, keep their distance, study the drift of the ice, and wait for the moment when the entire group moves together. Above the surface, the seal tries to remain calm. Below, bodies weighing more than 12,000 pounds begin swimming side by side as a single formation. With only a few powerful tail strokes, the pod drives water forward into a rising wave that rolls directly toward the ice floe. The ice trembles. The seal struggles to maintain its footing as the distance to the water's edge slowly narrows. If the first wave is not enough, the orcas circle back, adjust their angle of approach, and generate additional waves. Every movement is deliberate, turning the ocean itself into part of the strategy. The wave-washing technique reveals how orca intelligence can surpass raw strength, with a success rate of nearly 75% and often requiring more than 4 waves. In the freezing ocean, they do not simply move through the sea. They turn the ocean itself into part of their survival strategy. Across the open ocean, the humpback whale appears as a symbol of gentle strength. Reaching about 50 feet in length and weighing nearly 80,000 pounds, these whales are large enough to make most predators keep their distance. But for orcas, the weakness does not lie with the adults. It lies with the calves that still depend on their mothers. Along migration routes off Western Australia, Baja California, and parts of the tropical ocean, orcas may follow mother and calf pairs over long distances. Their strategy is not limited to cutting off the swimming path. They also disrupt breathing rhythms, block forward movement, and search for opportunities to separate the calf from the mother's side. Remarkably, some observations suggest that orcas may lift young whales closer to the surface, almost resembling the way mother whales assist calves when they need air. But during a hunting encounter, the behavior becomes a method of controlling position, disrupting the pair's rhythm, and forcing the mother whale to constantly change direction. A humpback mother is not easily overwhelmed. She uses her massive body, long fins, and persistence to shield the calf and keep it within a narrow zone of protection. The encounter can continue for extended periods, draining energy from both sides. In Patagonia, the intelligence of orcas appears through one of the ocean's boldest hunting strategies. South American sea lions often gather on sandy shores to rest, absorb warmth, raise their young, and recover energy after long feeding trips offshore. In the water, they are fast and highly agile. But on steep beaches, their reactions slow under body weight, crashing waves, and the distance back to deeper water. The orca understands that weakness well. From offshore, the pod watches the coastline as if reading a living map. The opportunity usually comes during high tide, when waves push farther onto the beach and create a brief pathway toward shore. When a sea lion loses awareness near the water's edge, the orca bursts forward at speeds approaching 30 miles per hour, using the force of the waves to surge onto the sand. Caught off guard, the sea lion quickly loses its advantage against the orca's massive size and remarkably precise angle of approach. Moments later, the orca uses the strength of its tail and body to pivot back toward deeper water, avoiding the danger of remaining stranded for too long. This is known as intentional stranding, a rare technique passed down through generations of orcas. For them, hunting is not driven by instinct alone, but also by memory and the inheritance of the ocean. In calm waters layered with fine sand, stingrays often press themselves tightly against the seafloor, blending into the ocean floor like flat shadows. Some large stingray species can grow beyond 10 feet in length and carry a sharp barb on the tail for protection. Against prey like this, the orca does not rush into unnecessary danger. It keeps its distance, circles in a wide arc, then delivers a powerful tail sweep that disrupts the sand and surrounding water. Within seconds, under the force of the shifting pressure, the stingray struggles to maintain control or remain concealed. Off the coasts of South Africa, Australia, and the Gulf of California, great white sharks do not always hold absolute dominance in cold waters. A large individual can measure about 15 feet in length, with sharp senses and impressive bursts of speed, making it a predator many animals avoid. But orcas do not rely on raw strength alone. They approach from an offset angle, disrupt the shark's swimming rhythm, and force it to change direction again and again. When the moment comes, the orca uses its body and upward force from below to turn the shark over, placing it in a temporary state of stillness. From there, the orcas control the position and target the shark's most energy-rich area. Here, the advantage does not come from violent impact, but from intelligence, the ability to read the weakness of an animal that seems to have none. Dolphins and orcas do not belong to two separate worlds. Biologically, the orca is the largest member of the oceanic dolphin family. But in nature, family ties do not erase the competition for survival. Smaller dolphin species have streamlined bodies, quick reflexes, and speeds that can exceed about 20 miles per hour, allowing them to skim across the waves like living arrows. That speed makes them unpredictable prey. But for some orca populations that specialize in hunting marine mammals, dolphins provide a protein-rich source of energy, forcing the entire pod to rely on intelligence rather than strength alone. Before closing in, orcas use sensitive hearing and echolocation to read movement underwater, locate the dolphin group, and identify any individual drifting out of rhythm with the others. Under the guidance of an experienced lead female, the orca formation splits into two lines. The first group spreads wide to both sides, creating a pincer formation that blocks escape routes. The other group maintains pressure from behind, forcing the dolphins to change direction again and again. When their speed loses rhythm, younger or weaker individuals are more likely to slip away from the protective formation. Once the target is isolated, a key orca accelerates from a hidden angle. The powerful rush can lift the dolphin several feet above the surface, disrupting the movement of the entire prey group. The chase ends quickly, and the food is shared among members of the pod. For orcas, hunting dolphins is not only about energy, but also a test of discipline, memory, and coordination. The story of the grizzly bear comes to a close with the image of an animal that knows how to make every moment count. It moves through each season with precise instincts and an extraordinary ability to read its surroundings. From salmon-filled rivers to quiet forest landscapes, every decision serves a purpose in survival. That remarkable adaptability allows this powerful predator to conserve energy and prepare for the year ahead. If you enjoyed this journey, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us for more extraordinary wildlife stories.